Okay, so we are building on the notes we took yesterday. And we're going to title this next page, page 17, as, I don't know what we're going to title it yet. But I will tell you that the first thing we're going to do is, on the last page we went from phrases to expressions. This time we're going to go from expressions to phrases. So in this case, we're going to start with the numbers with the mathematical sentence, and we're going to go to the point of writing it out in plain English. And this will be in lieu of a title, but I just want to remind us of some of the words we need. So sum is the answer to an addition problem. Difference is subtraction. Product is multiplication, and quotient is division. And I would like you to take a second and just put a star next to difference and quotient, because those are the ones where order matters. We really have to pay attention to how the things are written, and so how we're going to phrase them. So as an example, if you saw the expression b plus 5, there are a lot of ways you could write that. So some examples, you could say the sum of b and 5. You could also say the sum of 5 and b. Just order doesn't matter. You could say 5 more than b. You could say b increased by 5. You could say 5 plus b, or b plus 5. Okay, so this is, if you know how to do the other one, you should know how to do this, but for whatever reason, kids see that they have to write words and they freak out. So we're just taking a second to practice it. Okay, let's say we have something like 8m. So it would be, some ways to say that would be 8 times m, the product of 8 and m, or the product of m and 8. 8 groups of n. M 8 times. 8 multiplied m times. Lots of options. Okay. One thing when we talk about order mattering, let's say we get this expression of 81 minus d. We have to be really careful about what we can write and what we can't write. So one thing we could say, the difference between 81 and d, but we couldn't say the difference between d and 81, right? So the order matters. We can say d less than 81 because or we could say 81 decreased by d, where we could say d subtracted from 81. But subtraction and division are particularly places where, remember in the last video where I told you that a strategy I use is I pick a random number to stick in there. So let's say I stick 5 in for d. I want to make sure that with all of these, I'm still going to get the same answer as 81 minus 5 is 76. So is it true that the difference between 81 and D is 76? Yes. Is 5 less than 81 76? Yes. Is 81 decreased by 5 76? Yes. Is 5 subtracted from 81 76? Yes. So again, this is where it's important to do that. Now, let's do one division example. So let's say you saw 6 over Q. Remember, this is a way to show division. So we could say 6 divided by Q. We could say, what else? Think of some other things you could say. Pause the video and then bring it back and see what you got. The quotient of 6 and Q. 6 divided into Q groups. Or 6 split into groups of Q. I don't know, if you have another one I didn't get, feel free to ask me. Obviously the easy one is 6 divided by Q. This skill might seem like, oh my gosh, Miss Funk, we get it. But the reason it's important is because your ability to make sense of numbers. And algebra is difficult for people who don't have a sense and understanding of what they're being asked to do. If all they see are numbers and they're just trying to guess what goes where, algebra is very difficult. If people have a good grounding of how numbers work together, it's quite a bit easier for them typically to go, oh yeah, I just plug in a letter and I still know what it is I'm being asked to do. All right, so that is expressions as phrases.